Hello everybody, welcome to Tpull's Corner. This is Travis. I'm known as Tpull on Magic the Gathering Arena. It's my call sign. Today's deck, for lack of a better name right now, is just simply called Kaya, because at one point I got, I think this was in a draft tournament that I did, I got 2 copies of Kaya the Inexorable, and she is a very powerful planeswalker. The first thing you can do, and this is quite, I don't want to say it's the most devastating thing, but it can be the most problematic right away. You put a ghost form counter on up to 1 target non-token creature, and it gains this ability. Whenever that creature dies or is put into exile, return it to its owner's hand and create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. So you can see the token flying spirit right there to your left. But the reason this one gave me pause and almost I had to look upon the first time I read the description in horror is because I was playing an all-exile deck at the time, and I was getting around a lot of stuff like indestructible creatures that, you know, you couldn't kill them with the destruction cards. So I had a very heavy bias to exile. And the first thing I noticed is when I look at this card, and there's a ghost form token put on a very powerful creature that I really needed to get rid of, and I realized it doesn't matter if I exile it. Not only is she going to get a 1/1 creature, but that creature that I just exiled, she's going to put back into play the very next turn. And so that makes Kaya almost always one of these cards that you really have to get rid of immediately. It makes it just one of the bigger threats in the game. Also has the -3 loyalty counter power to exile a target non-land permanent, or -7, you get an emblem at the beginning of your upkeep. You may cast a legendary spell from your hand, from your graveyard, or from cards you own in exile without paying its mana cost. Now I got to tell you, one of the things that I love to do when we have all access to the cards is go play a time warp card with some legendary time warp spells and get Kaya out with the emblem, and then I just bring the card back from exile and I just take infinite turns and do whatever I feel like, and the opponent never gets a turn again unless I feel like giving them one. So I imagine that might be frustrating to play against, but it's a really fun combo when you get it into play. So what I did was, as soon as I got Kaya, I made this deck, and I put a whole bunch of legendary creatures into it. So we'll go ahead and go through the whole thing real quick. 17 creatures and 24 lands, 5 planeswalkers, which is more planeswalkers than I usually stack. 2 of them are Kaya. We've got, for the 1-drops, a Battlefield Raptor with flying and first strike. That's from Kaldheim. Portal Hole, or sorry, I call it Portal Hole. I'm thinking too much of the game Portal lately. Portable Hole. We have Valentin, Dina the Vane. We won't bother with the flip side Lizette this time around. Valentin has Menace and Lifelink, which makes him pretty impressive for a 1-drop. He has additional power too. If you got extra mana, if a non-token creature an opponent controls dies, you get to exile it, and when you do, you pay 2. If you do, you create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token that when the creature dies, you gain life. So this is more powerful than a lot of people consider sometimes, because if you can kill some of their stuff, especially if you're thinking of playing in Historic and you're playing against escape cards like Crocs or stuff like that, if Crocs has to sacrifice itself, maybe you could just pay the 2 and exile it right away and not have to worry about it coming back. There's the pest. And just for the newer players who don't know, we've got these, like the Strixhaven cards here, these are dual multimodal cards. So if you have the mana, you can cast either one of these. And if there is a third aspect to it, like this green pest creature, you just have to right-click on the card, and it'll flip past it to the next one. And it shows you there on the instructions way over to the right. It says right-click for more information and crafting options. So you can just, you know, backside 1, creatures token 2, you see the 1/2 up the top that changes. Just a little arena trick in case you didn't know it. Moving on, Beaming Defiance, instant target creature gets +2/+2 and gains hexproof. 1 Sheldine of Radiance has flying and vigilance, and you get to put a counter on each creature that entered the battlefield under your control during a turn. Or Embrose, I like to use Embrose a lot. Put a +1 counter on another target creature, then Embrose deals 2 damage to that creature. Whenever a creature that you control with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, you get to draw a card. What I like to do is take the trick of putting a +1 counter on one of their 1/1 creatures the opponent controls, and then Dean Ambrose kills it for 2 damage. A couple of flunks to take away the enemy creature counters. 1 Valky, God of Lies. 1 Killing Ink Duelist, a 2/2 with lifelink and menace. Copy of Eye of Vecna. When they enter the battlefield, you draw a card and you lose 2 life. And if you have the mana to keep doing it, you can pay 2, and every upkeep you can draw a card and lose 2 life. Let's see, what else do we have here? Invoke the Divine, destroy target or artifact, gain 4 life. Nadar, a legendary Dragon Knight with vigilance, and we can venture into the dungeon with him. Redain, legendary creature, flying and vigilance. Snow lands your opponent's control enter the battlefield tapped, and non-creature spells your opponent cast with mana value 4 greater cost 2 more to cast. He also has a legendary artifact you can cast instead. I usually prefer to use Redain, but if you've got a bunch of 1/1s you're going up against, if you cast Valgmira instead, any source that the opponent controls deals damage, you prevent 1 of that damage. So 1/1s just can't hurt you at that point. Copy of Search for Glory to go search for a snow permanent card, a legendary card, or a saga card. Selfless Glyph Weaver. The front side of this, you can exile the Glyph Weaver. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Or if you have 8 mana, 3 of them black, you can cast Deadly Vanity. You choose a creature, Planeswalker, and destroy everybody else. We've got Mila, Crafty Companion. We're not going to use the flip side Luca. 2/3 Legendary Fox. Whenever an opponent attacks 1 or more Planeswalkers you control, you get to put a loyalty counter on each Planeswalker you control. Whenever a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability independent controls, you may draw a card. Asarik the Archlick, most people are familiar with him now. You cast him, bring him down for 3 mana, and enter into the dungeon. Venture into the dungeon, not enter. We must be very correct with our word usage, mustn't we? Anyway, he has to go back up into your hand each time unless you complete the Tomb of Annihilation dungeon, which is shown there to the right. And they've got, here's a zombie. Woohoo! You've got 3 different dungeons. The Tomb of Annihilation is the one where at the very end, Cradle of the Death God, you see there at the bottom, you get to create a legendary 4/4 black God Horror creature token with Death Touch. Once you complete that dungeon, when you bring Asurak down, he stays. Okay? What a lot of us like to do is go do the other 2 dungeons and never bring him back down onto the field. We just use him to keep cycling through the dungeons a lot of times. Okay, when we do get him down, if he attacks for each opponent, you create a 2/2 black zombie creature token we see here, unless that player sacrifices a creature. We have Tabarix, Hope's Demise. He's a legendary demon cleric, and I hope you're catching each one of these that's a legendary, because that's all because of Kaya. Yeah, let's see. He gets lifelink when he has 5 or more +1 counters on him. And so this is, there's a lot of hidden combos in here. I'm not going to go over all of them right now because that would make the introduction just way too long. But for one example, let's go back to, let's see, Dean of Radiance. The backside of that, Embrose Dean of Shadow. Remember, you can tap, put a +1 counter on a creature, and then deal 2 damage. So you don't have to wait for your creatures to die. If you've got, say, 1 +1 counter on Tabarix already, you can have Dean of Embrose hit him for 2 damage. He'll survive. He'll get another counter. Then he's already got 2 counters on him. He'll become a 4/4 flyer. If you can protect Dean of Embrose and Tabarix long enough, you don't need to lose any other creatures to pump him up enough. Remember, we've got 2 Beaming Defiances as well, so we can give 1 or both of them hexproof at appropriate times if we have that card to help keep them alive long enough to have that happen. We've got Varigoth, Bloodsky Sire, and he has Death Touch and the Boast ability. We can search for a specific card and put it on top of our deck. 2 Poison in the Cups. A little variety here in the removal. We got 2 Flunks and 2 Poison in the Cups. Didn't want to have too much removal in here. I thought that might get in the way of what we're trying to do, but you do need to have some removal to be able to interact with what the opponent's doing. Okay, since we had Eye of Vecna, we have the other parts. We have Book of Vile Darkness and Hand of Vecna. These 3 go together. The Hand of Vecna is probably the most useful one. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you take a equipped creature that has... let's see, how do we want to say? It says equipped creature or a creature you control named Vecna gets +X per turn. That's because of the book's ability later, we'll get to in a second. But it's X is the number of cards in your hand. You can equip it by paying 1 for each card in your hand. So if you only have, say you're tapped out of mana and you only have 1 card in your hand, you can pay 1 life to equip this onto a creature. But usually you just wait till you have 2 mana and equip it for the 2 mana cost. Okay, if you have 5 cards in your hand, that creature is going to get +5/+5. And especially if you can get it going early on before you've emptied your hand, that's a powerful card. Okay, so then the reason there it has the other stuff at the top here where it says, or a creature you control named Vecna, that's because we have the Book of Vile Darkness, a legendary artifact. Okay, at the beginning of your end step, if you lost 2 or more life this turn, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. That works well with the Eye of Vecna because if you're losing 2 life from drawing a card at the beginning of your upkeep, then you've already met the conditions if you have Book of Vile Darkness down, so you'll automatically get a 2/2 black zombie creature just for using Eye of Vecna's ability to draw a card, because you've paid that 2 life cost. Okay, now if you have all 3 of these legendary artifacts out, then you can tap the Book of Vile Darkness, you'd exile all 3, and you create Vecna himself, a legendary 8/8 black zombie god creature token with indestructible and all the triggered abilities of the exiled cards. So here's what Vecna looks like to the right. And so he gets the ability of Hand of Vecna. He is the creature named Vecna. So if you have 5 cards in your hand, he's not an 8/8 indestructible creature. He's a 13/13 indestructible creature. So that's all fun. And the reason all 3 of those are in there is because they're legendary, and that counts as a legendary spell. We have Grandmaster of Flowers. We don't really care about his +1 abilities. We care about the top instruction here. As long as he has 7 or more loyalty counters on him, he's a 7/7 dragon god creature with flying and indestructible, which alone can win games. We have Icing Death, a legendary dragon, flying and vigilance for 4/3 creature. And if he dies, you get an artifact as well. That's shown to the right already. Icing Death, Frost Tongue. Equipped creature gets +2. And whenever a equipped creature attacks, tap target creature defending player controls. So if you've got, say you've got 2 creatures out, one of them is Icing Death, and the enemy kills Icing Death. And he's only got 1 creature down to block. You then get Icing Death. The next turn you put it on your other remaining creature, and when that creature attacks, you just tap the enemy's creature and you get through undefended. So Icing Death alone, we don't mind losing the dragon is what I'm saying, because we get Icing Death out of it, which can be just as good or even better. Here's Barrowin of Clan Under, another legendary creature, Dwarf Cleric, 3/3. When he enters the battlefield, you venture into the dungeon. So you can see that we've got a couple between Nadar and Barrowin. We've already got a couple of legendaries that can venture into the dungeon. And of course we have, where did our Sararak go? He was just here a second ago. Where did I have him? He should be here in the 3-drops, right? There he is. He was hiding behind Tabarex. Yeah, he's legendary as well. So all 3 of those we can venture into the dungeon with. When he attacks, you return up to 1 creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield if you've completed a dungeon. So if we complete a dungeon, we've got all these creatures in the 3, 2, and 1. If they're in the graveyard already, we can bring them back. We have 1 Cosmos Elixir. At the beginning of our end step, draw a card if your life total is greater than your starting life. Otherwise, you gain 2 life at the end step of each turn. This is a nice counter to Vecna, so if you're feeling comfortable that you don't need to worry about your enemy attacking you, you can spend 2 life at the beginning of your turn to draw a card, and then you can just come back here and get 2 life back, and sort of maintain a steady state equilibrium between those 2 artifacts. We've got 2 Doom Scars. We do tend to like to use those. We like to use them in combination with each other. I'm phrasing that wrong. Not combination with each other, but in combination with the other cards in the deck. And you'll get to see some of that in the matches that we play now. There are some other tricks that we can do with them with other cards that I don't think we get to this time around. But, like I said, it would take too long to cover all of the combinations right now. Just trust me, there's good reasons to have a couple of Doom Scars in the deck, beyond the normal ones. We have 1 copy of Loth the Spider Queen, a very common planeswalker that's very popular ever since the Forgotten Realms expansion came out. Whenever a creature you control dies, she gets a loyalty counter. You can draw a card and lose 1 life for 0 cost. Losing 3 loyalty points, you create 2 2/1 Black Spider creature tokens with Menace and Reach. You can see them displayed to the left. That's usually what most of us do as soon as Loth comes out, is we're usually blocking against flyers or something. Or if we do manage to keep her around long enough, for -8, you get an emblem. Whenever an opponent is dealt combat damage by 1 or more creatures you control, if that player lost less than 8 life this turn, they lose life equal to the difference. So if they lose 1 point of damage and this emblem's out, they lose 7 more points of damage after that. Okay, next is Tergrid, got a Fright. Most of us end up just casting Tergrid's Lantern, but if she's out on the field, she's a 4/5 with Menace. Whenever your opponent sacrifices a permanent or discards a permanent card, you get to take that card from the graveyard and put it onto the battlefield under your control. Otherwise, you've got Tergrid's Lantern, where you just they get the choice of losing 3 life, or they can sacrifice a permanent, or they can discard a card. The Kayas we already went over. We've got one Shadrach Silverquill, who's got flying and double strike. He's a legendary dragon. At the beginning combat on your turn, you get to choose 2 out of these 3 options. Each mode has to target a different player. So one of them is going to be you, one of them is going to be your opponent. What a lot of us like to do is when this guy comes out, we put him out when the opponent has no creatures out. So we'll do the first or second choice. We'll either get this Flying Inkling on our side, or we'll draw a card and lose life, and we'll give a +1 counter to the creatures that our opponents control. If we've killed all of our opponent's creatures already, they get no benefit from that. And Ferja, Judge of Valor, a legendary angel cleric, has flying and lifelink, 2/4. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You put one of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. This is usually for mid-game or later, when you've got a lot of land out and you can afford to cast a couple of spells. Remember, we've got lots of 1, 2, and 3 drops, so it's not going to be too hard to do. But at that point, we can look at the top 3 cards and we don't mind putting a couple into our graveyard. It especially works well with Kaya if we get the Kaya emblem out, because if it's a legendary we're throwing into the graveyard, she can just bring it back out at the beginning of our upkeep next turn anyway, so who cares, right? So that's another combo piece. And finally, our last legendary Planeswalker. Notice that we're not just using Planeswalkers, we're using legendary Planeswalkers because of Kaya. Professor Onyx. Also quite often used in combination with Lolth in a lot of the black decks these days. She's got Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, each opponent loses 2 life, you gain 2 life. You can lose 1 life for her +1 ability. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Just like Ferja's ability, put one of them in your hand and the rest in your graveyard. Or for -3, each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power. And finally, for the -8 power, each opponent may discard a card. If they don't, they lose 3 life, and you repeat the process 6 more times. So the only way they can avoid losing 3 life is if they have a full hand of 7 cards. And the rest is lands. We do have 2 Cave of the Frost Dragons that we can use as creatures, and we've got 1 Hive of the Eye Tyrant hidden in there, and just 1 Evolving Wilds to help us fix our mana. And that is the deck. We're going to take it out for a few rounds, show you some of the neat things about it. Like I said, there's so many secrets and different neat combos that we can pull off here. I'm sure we won't get to all of it, but we'll get to what we can. We're going to have some fun with 4 or 5 rounds here, shall we? Before we get started, remember, subscribe. If you like the videos, like this one. Go back to all the others and like all the others. We need all the likes we can get. And also go ahead and share this with somebody somewhere, you know. Post it all over. Post the links all over the internet. We don't care. We want to bring the audience to us. We want other people to enjoy what we're doing here. All right, here we go. All right, we're going to play, for lack of a better term, I think I'm just calling this my Kaya deck right now. I have 2 copies of Kaya. I got them at the same time. Foretell first. I could pay Shyly, or I could wait for Ambrose. Let's start with Madara. And we are taking the long way around. They're kind of slow, aren't they? Yeah, we need 1 more land. We'll take it. No, I still want to hold on. I think I want Ambrose instead. you can block Nadar, so you've got to go right now. Ah, well, at least we made him play it now. Do you have 2 of those, is the question. Ouch. I think Onyx is a better choice than Kaya because he might have yet another snakeskin veil. Maybe not if they're going to tap out. Ooh, that sets up something nice. So, let's do this. The shy is the biggest, right? I'm okay with the trade. Gross.
You really want to fight me? It was going to die eventually anyway. If anyone needs me, don't!
I won't stand by as innocent people
You're not bringing any permanents back. And he quits.
Out.
Evidently that was the major part of his strategy. Do we use Rudane or Valgamira? Well, let's see what kind of removal they have. You got stuff up front? They do not. You're gonna exile and saw it coming? That seems bad. Okay. Rudane it is. Big meanie. Killian and Ayavecta make for a good team. If I can keep them both on the board, I can have card draw without a consequence. Your creature. Yeah, we'll allow it. Nope, that's enough for now. Let's see if we have counter spells that you're willing to spend. Okay. That kind of hurts that they get to play with that right away. Cave of the Frost Dragon isn't enough to beat Ashmouth. I need enough mana to do Doomscar and Kaya. Okay, do you have 2 counter spells in your hand? Find out. You do not.
If you want a job done right, hire the best.
Yes, ma'am. Why are you looking at my Eye of Vecna for?
Look, I can't do
Ouch.
everything. It's the least you deserve.
All we need after this is an Alrund's Epiphany.
That's Professor on it. It was going to die eventually anyway.
5, 6, 7, 8. I have enough to do that. Hopefully they don't have another Goldspan Dragon right away. They do. It's worth 2 right now, right? What are you looking at my lands for? No. Well, we thank you. Let's see. We'll keep Loth.
I have impeccable study habits.
That's the 3rd one.
Well, fine. I'm taking the day off.
You could have such power, but you are too weak to take it. I'm sure you'll miss me. Do what I demand.
Did he remember about this one, or did he forget? I am really flooding out with land here. Yippee! I think I've developed an affinity towards Orzhov, the teleportation circle, making that into my blinking black deck using Kaya here. These are quickly becoming my favorite decks. Even though with the rotation change, I feel like black is at a severe disadvantage with a lot of the removal cards that went away. Hopefully this is something that will be close to a perfect hand for me. I've got removal for early, creature, not too expensive, protection for the creature, and planeswalkers. Thermal Alchemist. 1 damage to each opponent. Okay. Portable hole. Into the hole you go. How equipped are you to deal with artifacts? Which way do we want to go? This way. Now, if only he lasts for one more turn. That's interesting. He could have attacked and I probably would have blocked and then he could have killed Nadar. Oh, excellent. Good timing, Killian. I could use land. He's got something holding up priority. Is this something just to return a card to my hand? Is that what you're looking at? You're trying to figure out each and every action I try to take, whether you're going to use your card or not? This is going to be a long time. Long match. Just let me make my move. Or, you know, we can both just sit here. Time well spent. Very good. Good job. Good show. Did you get the keys to the runs? Did you have to go number 2? Do you have diarrhea? Are you playing on your phone? Did you just take your phone into the bathroom? Look at the top of your library. You can just throw your card away. Okay. I don't care about any of that at all. More mana, please. No blockages. All right.
I just want to get in, get out, and finish the job. Ghosting feels weird, right?
Just my luck. You can kill Kaya, but I think you'll lose the game if you attack with both of your flyers right now. Why are they acting like I can use this? That's only 1 mana, right?
That's it. I quit.
What I'm looking to do is keep Cave of the Frost Dragon ready. So if they want to fly over my head and attack for any reason, I've got an easy defender. And he can just sit there with his thought coming and not do anything. Because he's got to keep his 3 mana ready. If he taps, he can't counter, and I'm free to play. But if he keeps this open the whole time for his counterspell, I'm not going to cast any kind of counterspell. I can win with what I got on the field. And it's that type of battlefield situation that people get put in that causes them to rope like this, because they're just trying to figure out if there's any way out of the disadvantage. They're taking it. Okay, you can make it 4-4. But you'd have to spend mana. Really? That was the worst thing you could do. I think they forgot I had that. Happens to the best of us. Every color getting a specialty land in Forgotten Realms has really changed the nature of the beast. You really have to have better land awareness than you ever have before in this game, I think. That's all she wrote. We'll make that trade. There's some sort of strange technical delay when I start to record the videos. I think it waits like a full minute to kick in or something right now, so you may have missed the first part of this match. But you didn't miss much yet. Ludovic, Necrogenius. Not sure if I like him. I'd probably like him if I had him. Okay. if I equip this guy for 2, I like how that works out. Really? Why would you do that? I guess because you knew there was no way to block that guy. You need to have removal now or you're sunk. Actually, I think you need to be able to remove both of those. Because I can just move Hand of Vecna over to the raptor and fly over your head, yeah? I don't even need Hand of Vecna now. I can just hit you for 1. Ta-da! Didn't even have a chance to get Kaya out. We will keep it. Red vampires. Already a little too deadly for my taste. I don't have a turn 2, so throw that down there. Don't need to identify any information. Arrogant outlaw. I don't really need to put down Hand of Vecna this turn. So let's go ahead and put down another swamp. See, that gives me 3 swamps there, and then I'll probably make that the Bright Climb. I think the red-black vampires is creature heavy. Wow, that's a nice combination. See what's coming up. Coming attractions. I don't need another land so quickly. I'm hoping he doesn't have removal for this turn. He does. That takes away my options. Kaya pretty much has to come down now. Any day now. Thank you.
This should be a nice break from Ravnica. That was an easy job.
Now all they need is another rip apart, right? Let on the snow instead.
This is gonna be one of those jobs.
Oh, but you did not have... Oh, he was exiled. That's why you couldn't bring him back. Okay. Well, let's see. What do we want to do? How many of those do you have?
I will defend the weak from the wicked.
I don't think we actually have any of those in there, do we? No, we do not.
I am proud of all my followers.
If you do have another Blood on the Snow, you'd probably use it on the Planeswalker again. Then it'd only take me, what, 24 turns to take you out? Not a problem! Maybe I should have
Come, walk with me.
at least one monk in there. But that wasn't the purpose of this deck. The monks are not legendary. Grandmaster is legendary. The reason he's in there is for Kaya to be able to summon him whenever we want to after she gets an emblem out. Flunk doesn't work on Planeswalkers. And I have not lost life this turn. So teleporting it does you no good whatsoever. And no first strike, no double strike, and no vigilance. So
Take a
you're fine
moment
where you
to
are.
Consider your actions.
I can equip you. Leave the cards in my hand. And just start building up my hand. I'm going to pay for that if they have a discard spell. He has nothing in his hand. This has first strike.
Observe the magic. Consider the
Ta-da!
evil within yourself.
That is nice. I can attack the exact same turn. That is so sweet. I don't think I have a splash of red in here for Tpull. Just had him in for Valky. And then I forget if I get Kaya out, can I bring the legendary Planeswalker Tpull out instead of Valky? Don't remember. Death Touch against an Indestructible. No good. Yeah, why not? It prevents me from having any damage, so they can't do anything with that. Oh, you know what I can do? I can do this. Ha ha ha! Life is good! Can I submit 0? I guess I have to do the other one. We'll just keep pumping them up.
Look how talented my disciples are.
Not sure what good that did. But that's a nice little combo to keep in mind. If it works in just about any little white deck that you want. You don't really need to have Kaya in it or anything, but just get Grandmaster Flowers out, pump them up, and then have some Doomskars ready and clear the field. That leaves him open. Okay, we're gonna leave it there. That's enough wins for the day, I think. Yeah, this is, I always, as soon as I first came up against Kaya, I was devastated at how awesomely powerful a Planeswalker this one was. And as soon as I got my 2 copies, made this deck, and it's already quickly becoming just my favorite deck to play, I think, almost among most of the others. It's definitely in the top 3. And, you know, Kaya doesn't always come out, but it's got enough versatility to it that you don't actually need Kaya to win. But when you do get Kaya, if you're up against a really tough deck, Kaya can really turn the tide. So the last one we did the Grandmaster of Flowers getting indestructible and then Doomskar. So that's just one of the little combos that's mixed in among all of this thing. There are other combos, so I will probably drag this one out again. I'll probably start using this for some of the ranked battles too. That should be fun. But yeah, I would definitely recommend go ahead and copy this deck. Have some fun with it. If you do have more than 2 Kayas, maybe you could test the balance and stick a 3rd or 4th one in, see if that makes it better or if that makes it too clunky to have that many expensive cards in there. It might work out just fine though, because I mean, as long as you get the 5 mana, just using her for the -3 exit target non-land permanent, having a couple of those extra spells, that doesn't really seem like it would hurt even if you lose her the next turn. Anyway, this is one of those decks that I don't mind trotting out again to play and show you guys, just because there's so much to it we didn't even get to, that it's like we could play another 5, 10, 15 rounds and maybe still not get to the end of everything with these cards and how they can interplay with each other. It's just plain fun. So, we'll catch you next time. As always, like and subscribe, share the videos, leave a comment, let us know how we're doing, let me know what else you might want to see. Have a good one.